8-point ult, by the way. Oh man, I just wanna, bow, boom, you know? Oh, yeah. Don't you fucking bait that I'm a caster in chat either. You're giving them ammunition.
Breach flush, eh?
Oh, I can't be. Bye.
I'm really happy that you guys couldn't hear that. I am so happy that you guys can hear that. Bro. I lost 20 LP for that. I lost 20. I lost. Your mom, Jabata, your mom. Hello, my mammals. What's up? I'm Ginny. I joined on this podcast with Haza and Pavlos. Off to a great start. Pavlos, why did you laugh about that?
I can't believe you actually said mammals there. Like you were saying before.
Like, what are you? What do you identify as? MacBook Pro?
I guess, but mammals can be bunny rabbits, horses, dogs. Are those our audience as well?
Yo, this is a gamer podcast, not science.
Not a farmhouse. I don't know.
Haza, help me out here.
I feel like I'm in a mammal sandwich right now, and I don't really know what that entails. I think I had a mammal fact.
Can we cut this
yeah,
intro?
we need to like actually. It's time to lock in. It's time to lock in. I think.
Okay, guys, can we like put a professional? We're supposed to be getting paid for a living to like actually speak, right? So like, can we put these like professional hats on, literally for 5 minutes? That's all I'm asking for, because I think a lot of people have a lot of questions when it comes to why. Okay.
It's the professional hat.
Yeah, that's
Very
your
professional.
yeah. You know what? If you were on a broadcast, I would hire you. I think a lot of people have a question though in terms of like, why are these three idiots that usually just meme on Twitter decide to pick up a mic and speak? So why are we talking, Pavlos? Like, what are we doing here?
I think this could go into a very existential subject, but I think the basic idea is that we just want to have fun with doing some extra content for everybody. Sort of talk about the ecosystem, talk about games, talk about esports. And yeah, I think this is something that we've all kind of been looking towards like forever, right? This is kind of like what we've been wanting to go into.
Forever?
And I think,
Forever. This is why I won this
I was
storm
born
race.
for this. I was ready for it. But you know, I think this is the perfect group to actually get it all done, to be fair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Shout out to Harry and Sing.
Yes.
It would be nice if we can get a camera on Harry, just where he like waves a little, and then cut it back. But we should talk about that. We'll do that for next episode. You guys can see people behind the scenes. Is it a Kermit hat? Like
No,
Kermit as in the
no,
frog, not
this
as in like I'm
is,
gonna like Kermit.
No, this is
Engage.
actually from Berlin. So the one time that I went to Berlin,
I'm
I
sorry
thought
for
that
your
this
loss.
was really cool and like one of one, and then I saw about 10 other people like with pictures wearing the exact same. So yeah, there's nothing. I need to put it back on because my hair is an absolute mess.
You
But,
bought something mass-produced and you thought it was gonna be one of one.
No, but like at least a little bit more. I don't know. I got tourist trapped. It's
To be
unlucky.
fair,
Oh,
you
you
were
got
wearing it, and I
scammed?
was like, "This is gonna be a Timo hat," and it wasn't. So you still surprised me. You're
I
still
didn't
a-
is true.
actually get scammed because it was Apex Centane that bought it, I think. So shout out to Centane. Much
So
love.
Centane got scammed.
No, because it's well worth it. I mean, as you can see.
Earthquake audio, is that my microphone? If it is, I'm sorry, I'll put it back on the holder. Yeah, it's my audio. Wait, I'm gonna mute myself. Can you guys like do the talking? Like, do the thing.
Yeah, she's
Okay,
doing like the karaoke classic, right? Like carrying the mic like upside down in your hands, rapping the lyrics straight off the screen. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to this one. We've got a whole bunch of things to be talking through. Existential Crisis is actually on the run of show. It's just a little bit further
Yay.
down, and I think we know which one we're referencing when we're talking about that. But Pavlos, if you wanted to head us into it, because I feel like this whole show, whether people know it or not, is kind of like the brainchild of what you've come with and sort of got together. You're like the ringleader.
Do we want to introduce each other first, or is that?
You want to introduce me? Yo, let's go. What do you want to say about me? Be nice. Give everyone a compliment. Okay, let's do that.
Basically a dwarf.
I literally said be nice. Give everyone a compliment.
Okay. She is she's now part of the LEC broadcast team. Big congrats to that. That got announced like yesterday, right?
That's not a compliment.
That's a compliment. What do you mean? That's like what
that's an achievement.
Legends, right? I think League of Legends. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you guys compliments. This is Haza. He's a Valorant caster and he casts CS as well, and he's actually really funny. There you go. That's a compliment. Okay?
You put me on the spot now, though.
No worries.
I think every single joke is a miss from here.
All right. Well, we also have Pavlos. He is also a Valorant and a CS:GO caster. And Pavlos is a very kind human being, and he has a very big heart. See, that was so easy, but I get called a midget.
You're funny, I guess.
Funny looking.
Funny looking. Yeah. No, to give better context around Ginny, she's a host, interviewer. She's done stage hosting as well, a bit of it, very good at it. But yeah, generally a true professional, I'd say, but never fails to make you laugh.
I'm professional, though. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
Hi, Chachi.
Okay. All right, now I think we can walk into the next subject, though, right? What we were talking about, existential crisis and whatnot. Even though Hazza, you told me to walk into this, you had some other things that you wanted to jump on, like the Valorant stuff.
I was just sort of saying that'll be for later on. I went to you because it felt like you had something to say. I think we're still sort of figuring out how exactly this is going to work. You know, who's talking when we sort of go along the row, right? I didn't give anyone any compliments at all. So something I can say is that you are both two very hard-working individuals. So I think being part of this group, hopefully, if the show goes well, we can get a few episodes out and we can give the people what they want, what they deserve. I don't really know which of the two that sort of folds into, but we'll see, right? We'll see. And speaking of the things that we're actually going to be speaking about, that's all of us introduced, right? I think we happy to say that we've sort of like touched base. Okay, so the first segment then is the weekly roundup, or at least like talking about a few different trending topics, things that we have seen on social media recently that I think are worth talking about. And the first one would be the new Valorant Omen cinematic that looks pretty cool. I don't know if either of you seen it. Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, no, the Omen cinematic was actually pretty cool. If you didn't say anything about this, I wouldn't have seen it like totally a few minutes before we actually went live. And that's me just not being on social media for the past couple of days. But still, no, that was epic. But I think we can straight away go from that to your actual tweet. That you made, like literally before we went to the call. Hazard's like, guys, I'm viral.
Yeah, I didn't even really want to necessarily posture it like that, but right, so the cinematic comes out, it's free impressions. Let me throw out a tweet. So I'm thinking, what could I say? Oh, he's in the hazmat suit. It's got to be Paul, right? You remember Paul, because Icebox is coming in, the employee of the month. There are a few player cards and stuff for it. I thought it was just a little bit of fun, but apparently, according to the lore community, I am now public enemy #1 for this atrocious take. This is the first tweet I've ever had break 1K likes, let alone 9,000. And just looking at some of the follow-up to it, it's absolutely mental. People have gone insane. So it's this first tweet. Omen is not Paul Delman.
He's not, okay.
According to the law, it says right here, he was there on Sunset. He is not Omen. Leave him alone. Please stop theorizing. And then it just kept going. But the funny thing is, there's sort of like two brands of people. There are people in the quote retweets who are like lapping it up, like, oh, maybe he could be. Oh, this is really interesting. And then there are like the lore people who feel like this is, the worst thing that's ever happened to them. Like, Omen is not Paul Delman. Please, they are not the same person. Just because he has the suit doesn't mean that. And then, where was it? Like, the reply to my main tweet was the one that made me laugh when I saw it this morning from Disturbo, who does a brilliant job with all of the lore stuff. Don't get me wrong. The worst thing to happen to the lore economy since Octopus Omen. It sounds like this is
so
the Wall
dramatic.
Street crash or something. Do you know what I mean? Like we've hit
So
the Great
dramatic.
Depression.
How dare you, Hazza?
You
I
really
don't know, man.
pissed in their Weetabix this morning, huh?
I did.
They're actually so angry, bro. I just don't. Okay, I understand. Like people are actually like, they want to, get the facts and the informations out there. But the real question here is, Hazza, with a tweet that has 9,000 likes, how much money did you make off of your Twitter Pro investment? Don't actually dox yourself.
Well, this is the thing. I was never eligible before because, like I say, this is about 3 times the impressions I make in a month in one tweet that I tweeted from bed when I hadn't even got up at about 2 p.m. yesterday. So, like, it's just,
okay.
It's hit the algorithm, but it's also hit people where it hurts. Apparently, they're really upset that their lore has been tainted by Paul.
That's really sad. Well, you're
Then
now
who is Paul?
I don't know.
It's not
Man.
Omen.
He's just
Who is
like
Paul?
he's just this employee guy, right? And I think the crazy thing is as well, you've got a bunch of people who are like, oh, Omen is my daddy, and you mean to tell me that his name's Paul? Now I'm really frustrated or something. Like half of the people that were really annoyed were because Omen apparently has less of an attractiveness about him now or whatever.
Are people saying that if your name is Paul, you can't be attractive?
Apparently.
Okay.
I mean, technically, the
explains
English
the Paul brothers
version of my name is Paul, so...
Is it actually?
Am I just not attractive?
I am really sorry to bear Pablos. Like,
Pablos is better, right?
I've been waiting for this one, but I actually find it really funny that people got their knickers in a twist because of a tweet that says that Omen is Paul. Also, people finding Paul an unattractive name is interesting. Are there names that if someone has it, you just wouldn't approach them? I didn't even finish the question. Yo, that was personal.
Wait, what did you say?
Steve. Never mind.
Steve.
Actually, one of the nicest people I've ever met, called Stevie, and absolutely,
Okay.
like,
shout
Stevie,
out.
shout out to Stevie.
Like everybody in the broadcast world in VCT MEA actually knows who this person is, and
yeah,
he's the absolute goat. Just for context for everybody watching, he was doing the announcing in the stadium itself. For the VCT MEA broadcast, and he was the absolute goat. Just such a sweetheart. Whenever he saw you, it was like massive smile. Always had something nice to tell you or ask you about your day. He made sure that people around him were looked after and stuff. So big up for Stevie.
Chaji said that you can't be kissing someone called Frank. How do we feel about Frank?
What about Frank Sinatra though? Because I feel like Frank Sinatra is a beacon of romance. He's got like these sort of like songs, right? That are very like I've put myself on the spot.
But you'd never say Frank without Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah, that's true. And it's
so on its own.
It's not the same.
Yeah, the same way that Frank by itself isn't the best. The surname doesn't exactly hit either. So you've got a point. You've got a point.
Yo, what are we talking about?
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
This is like the range all the way from esports to like who would you not kiss?
Okay, what do we think about the lore though? What do we think about the lore in an esport specifically? Because you had it with like Overwatch as well, where they build up the cinematic universe. Something that I want to compliment Valorant for, and especially sort of like tying in esports and the community, is that by the fact that it's 2 mirror earths, it means when you're playing against the same agent, it doesn't. It's not confusing. It actually makes sense. Whereas in Overwatch, it was just like as confusing as the actual fucking game is as well, because it makes. I don't understand.
Actually, for this game called League of Legends, it was based on this Netflix series called Arcane. I don't know. Yeah.
It was based on?
Yeah. So basically, they released Arcane, and then within like a day, they released this whole game, like literally like 100+ champions, ranked system ready, all these items, and it was called League of Legends. And it's also very much like dives very deeply into lore, and I think Riot Games just has a really good knack for just the lore in terms of Arcane. Yeah, Arcane season 2 coming out in November on Netflix.
Dude, I thought
what's your
Riot was
PayPal
just...
looking at right now, Ginny?
It's pretty empty, I ain't gonna lie.
I thought that Riot just made music and the game was like to help that endeavor.
Oh, right, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
game
they
is
made the
based
game,
on the
yeah.
characters. KDA, man.
In the next season of Arcane, Ginny gets out of being hard. It's like, why are you spoiling? Why are you spoiling? Okay.
Jeez, man.
I mean, listen, I hecking love Arcane. I hecking love League of Legends. I do also really like Valorant. I think the lore, it's very different when it comes to like the way that Riot or as a dev approaches it. I really enjoy it because you even touch upon a little bit on the music, and Riot doesn't miss.
True.
Okay. Have you heard New
I
Jeans?
swear, for the past 3 years on my Spotify list, it's either League of Legends or Valorant or KDA. It's up there. Like, it's my hype up music, right? Even before a cast or for workout or whenever. Like, when if I want to feel good mood, like I boot up some of those songs. Like, no joke, that's some like solid music there.
You touched casting and feeling good. Is casting the only time when you want to be in a good mood?
No, it was one of the moments. I gave an example.
What made you actually want to get into casting? Was it because it made you feel good? Was
What
that
a transition. Is this person a host?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, feel good moments with generally. I think the first time I thought about wanting to be a commentator was witnessing a live event myself and seeing like the crowd stand up and cheer for like a play, not necessarily the person playing, but the game itself. And I think noticing the caster through it and the role he had to play within messing with those emotions, not messing with them or guiding it in a way. I think that's something. It's big for me.
What game was it?
That was actually, I think it was Street Fighter. I think it's
wow, that's a fighter game. That's okay. That's niche.
Oh, the fighting game community is insane. It's insane.
Yeah, the fighting game community is probably one of the most not underrepresented in esports, but like they get the short end of the stick every single time, and the person holding the stick is Nintendo, and they're just dish, 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 you know.
It's okay.
This is why I'm looking forward, and again, I feel like this is sort of like a glazing Riot stream at this point, but like the fact that they actually have, they're gonna make an esport that's FGC. Like, I think that is gonna be. Like, if they support it properly, that could be really good, because right now, who are the main developers for like fighting games and stuff? You like
Capcom,
Namco, you know, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's never really been the attention to detail when it comes to like making an esport. And to go back onto the Spotify thing as well, I don't know if you can see this. So I was like trying to hype myself up. My top artist last year on Spotify was Valorant. And this is a complete self-sabotage, by the way. But I was like, if I get in the mindset for like the game and I'm like hyping myself up and listening to like the VCT, then stuff, then, you know, I'm not that guy. But like,
which was your favorite Valorant song actually this year?
I actually don't know, to be honest.
Are you by any chance a
Taking Away was
Valorant
good.
caster?
Yes. From time to time, right? From time to time.
Why are you a Valorant caster? Why Valorant? Why not? I don't know. Street Fighter.
Good question. I think this is something I spoke about quite a bit, actually, and to sort of like wrap it in back to sort of why Pavlos got into casting in the first place. It was like, I did have a big love for CS, but I think, especially in the esports space, if you're not a CS person, then like you're not in the esport. You know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you're not going to fully commit 110% to being part of that community, then you can't half-ass it, right? Whereas I feel like the flip side is with Valorant, you know, you had people like, and this was obviously in the early ecosystem, it'll get figured out by now, and you have like your main Valorant actors, but there were people, you know, like Dinko, like Harry, for example, that had their moments when they like popped up on a VCT broadcast, but that never went the opposite way, right? You weren't seeing people, you know, like Mitch and Tom hop onto an ESL broadcast or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you very much have to commit to doing one or the other. And as much as I love CS, and I think it has a lot of things which Valorant could probably improve on, it's been out for so long. You're always going to have that built-up, storied history. For Valorant, it feels like that it's more closely knit with the developer. Like there's a bit more back and forth as well. Like I know plenty of people at Riot that I can just talk to about that kind of thing. So I think
weird flex, but okay.
helps.
Yeah.
This guy has a gun buddy. Message him, everybody. That's his at right there.
That is so 2022. Okay.
Damn it.
Okay, like get with the times. But I love
sorry.
how you're like just like sprinkling it in there. Like I'm close like that. We're tight like that. You know, like okay, brother. I get it. But I think hearing both of your stories of like in terms of how you two got into esports, and then as well Wong sharing in the chat that the reason they became a caster was because they used to be a player. The casters got it wrong and they're like, yo, gotta be a caster. I think it's very different for every single person how they got into esports. For me, it was like I was a streamer. I was streaming for like 2-3 years at that point, almost 3 years. And then someone messaged me, was like, hi, we have this broadcast going on. Do you want to be a host? And it fell through last minute, but still that kind of like piqued my interest. And I was like, okay, I want to know what this job actually is. And like, you know, how can I get into it? And knowing what I know now, I feel like I've approached it very systematically. I've had like, okay, I'm going to approach it like this, and this. But I think as well, being able to look back, Pavlos, on our journeys, there's always going to be something that we wish we knew sooner. Is there?
I feel like that's a journey everybody has, right? Things that because even if someone gives you the advice, sometimes it's just goes over your head because you don't fully grasp it. I think you have to experience some things to actually learn them. I think the three of us, I put us under the same category of like the same generation of broadcast talent, right? We're COVID talent. We started this journey. I think I'm not quite sure for you.
We're like the weird COVID babies of esports.
Oh, you guys both started after COVID?
I started after COVID.
I literally started during COVID. So like when the events all went online, everybody was panicking. There's no work and stuff like that, and a lot of online events started popping up. And I was like, ooh, let me try this, let me try that. And I think that's how it worked out for me. But you guys started after COVID, damn.
Yeah, I started in December 2021, so yeah, that was like COVID was when did lockdown was like 2019, no? 2020.
Yeah. 2020.
So yeah, I started December 2021, so I started post-COVID, and I started when like the transition went away. I started in winter, esports winter, yay!
Yeah.
Good for me.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I did one broadcast day in 2020, and that kind of ties into how I actually got into it in the first place. It was fully through the university space, and I think it was a bit similar for you, Janira, right?
Yeah.
And I was like playing all of the uni games with my mates, and I was like, oh, you know what, the broadcast, let me add a little bit of spice to that. I would like to do this. Let me see what I can say, right? And that was how I got involved. But I did literally one day in 2020, didn't look at it until about mid-2021. And that's when I felt like I actually found my footing and started doing it more consistently.
I remember actually both of us, our first like studio thing was the Newell thing in Nottingham. Was it in Nottingham?
In Nottingham?
Yeah, and we worked it together.
Right,
in the basement. I remember that. It was... I mean, it was a nice basement, okay?
It was
like,
a very nice basement.
Don't take his word for it. It was not terrible. We even had some like pretty nice pictures off of there. Well, even Torix, even Jacob was there.
Yeah. The going live tweet that I posted. Yeah. Shout out to the Twitter, by the way. Actually, shout out to the @SkillIssues live Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube, all of it. Right, get that followed. Was a picture that Jacob took of me at Null. So that was my first time meeting him. And again, just another one of them people.
Yeah, and Jacob now works for Riot, so he's gonna be on the LEC. We're gonna be working together. He's probably gonna know us a couple of times. So. Basements are great.
The pipeline is real.
The pipeline is like
the uni pipeline is real. And for Pavlos, I think you said that yours was different, right? You were like through the community cast Discord trenches and stuff.
Yeah, I was.
Trenches.
I literally went through that. It was like, I was like, how do I get involved with this? I started Googling stuff and just found like amateur tournaments through Discords and everything. And that's how I started, literally from zero. Yeah.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
You said trenches. Let's be honest. Like everything below tier 2 and sometimes even tier 2 is the trenches anyway. Yeah. The difference with the uni one is that it had an Amazon sponsor, but
Let's not talk about some tier 1 stuff. Anyway,
everyone starts somewhere.
Maybe tier 1 are the trenches.
And I think we can wrap this. We can wrap this in perfectly. Everyone starts somewhere, and 20 years ago, a tier 1 team started their journey. They just came out with a new jersey. Do we want to talk about that? We're on the weekly roundup after all.
Oh my god.
We want to talk about a new jersey. Who released a new jersey?
Oh my god.
It's the new Fnatic jersey. What do we think? What do we think?
Mid.
Mid, very mid. I wouldn't wear this. I'm sorry. There's so many good jerseys, especially if you're celebrating your 20 years anniversary as an organization. I don't know, man.
It's a little bland. Where's the spices? Yeah. I mean, I guess Jack Link's sponsor on one of the arms is the spice, but it's not really spicy. Like
I've been a fan.
It's halal though.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I've been a fan of Fnatic since the time I knew what esports was a thing. So that's like 2014, something like that. So I've been following the League of Legends teams, the Counter-Strike teams, yeah, I don't know. There were so many jerseys throughout that line that are iconic and pretty sweet. A couple of I don't know which year it was, but there was like this China Worlds jersey that looked insane. It had dragons on it or something. If I remember that correctly, I don't know. I could be fooling myself here. Or like at least it was a jacket and everything. I feel, and with so many cool jerseys out there, if you're going to be celebrating, I feel like we needed some more spice. I feel like this. I feel like this is the attempt of Giant X, the merge between XL and Giants, on the back of that jersey. Like,
yeah, they could have named it Giant L. You know, it's so funny. But someone said, Agel, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, said the pants give Adidas vibes, and I completely agree. Like, it's, you know, like those Adidas pants that you, well, not,
the 3 stripes, yeah.
Yeah, you get the 3 stripes, but then when you buy the fake ones, you get 1 stripe.
True.
I feel like, look, to be fair, if you imagine the guy that rocks up to like, I don't know, where would you even wear a full Fnatic like with the tracksuit?
You wouldn't. Okay,
you imagine?
Listen, I think the orange and the black in general, like, I understand that those are their colors, but they're not a nice color combination to have. They're like on the color theory, like on the color spectrum, like.
I think
it just clashes too hard.
I think black goes with pretty much any color that you want to pick. And this is something to say as well. Like you look at a traditional sports jersey and then like an esports one. I think esports is quite stylistic in terms of how they like approach how it actually looks. You know, when you have players as well, they'll have like their name and number on the back, and that's a huge thing in sporting culture to sort of like tie in with that. And I think that would be really cool to see more of that happen in esports, I think. But yeah, I mean, like, it's basic, it's cool. I think this definitely would have flown, you know, back in 2004, right? But for like current day, maybe it does need a little bit extra. I don't know if Harry wants to pull up the last Fnatic jersey that they had. I think they overcooked that one, to be honest. Do you want to like walk the middle ground? Yeah, literally, it looked like a bag of coal. You know when you buy a bag of coal and it's got like the flames on it? Yeah, that one. No, to the left. The bag.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Like you know when you go to a Tesco petrol station and it's the summer and you want to get you want to make a barbecue and you need to buy some coal. It's like, yes, the Fnatic jersey. Let me just go pick that off the shelf really quickly and
put it on fire.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even be able to tell that it's on fire because it looks like it's on fire. I mean, I get the design, you know, they want to be like, yo, it's literally fire. They want to make it look fire, but no, it's, I actually didn't see this jersey up until now. I am not the biggest fan either. But you know what? People are buying it and people are supporting their team, and that's what matters.
Yeah, no, go support the team, yeah.
Yeah, because considering how esports is going, my brother, we be needing every single penny.
What we need to, you know, support the teams. What we need to do is get rid of the bad chants. We need more good chants in esports. No more team name here. We need something a little bit more exciting.
Defense.
You know? Yeah. I'm looking at you, Team Liquid. I'm looking at you, Team Liquid.
Liquid. I do like Team Liquid. You know, they're a Dutch org. Respect.
Yeah, I respect it. But I mean, I think that the big thing to say here as well is like just the history that Fnatic have, right? 20 years in esports is actually pretty sick.
Yeah, it is.
One of the OGs.
Yeah, and considering how many like mergers have been going on and everything like that, and the fact that in 2023 around 9,000 people in the gaming industry have lost their job, it is really rough right now in the industry. I think that's not something that we're going to sugarcoat, and I think in general that's something that a lot of people are aware of. It's not the same as like as you mentioned, COVID times where everything was online and there was a lot of things going on, a lot of money being pumped into esports because they were kind of the only broadcast that you were able to do. But I think that's like a quite negative or like a very dark way to look at it at the moment, because obviously like after winter comes spring, but to be in like the best position possible. It's also kind of like about how do you set yourself up for that success so that when that opportunity actually does come your way, Haza, what could you be doing right now to try and not drown in what's currently going on in our beloved industry?
Making a podcast with two other people in the same industry.
Yeah, because we're
and
balling right now.
sitting
Like we
right
got that
in the middle.
money.
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of touches close to where I'm at the moment, right? Like I finished uni, I went out of uni, and then quite fortunate to be living at home meant that I could just sort of like pursue it for a little bit and see like, okay, how far can I get with this? And you know, the money is okay, and like I could sort of financially contribute and not just be living fully rent free. But if I want to over time build up any kind of real income, live on my own, have a pension, any of that stuff, I've got to go part time for this year, and that's where I'm going to be at, right? You know, split up the week in half of the week working just a standard day job, the other half of the week is dedicated to doing esports, right? Because if you don't have that balance, that work-life balance, as well, just sort of externally and not being indoors all the time, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle for sure.
I
Yeah.
really like that part of like working and doing esports because I think a lot of people are probably aware of this, is that I worked a full-time job while doing the esports stuff, and that was just because of like the financial side of it. Because I would be lying if I sat here and said, oh yeah, getting a breakthrough in esports is easy. It does feel like for every person that makes it, probably like 100 plus people don't. There are very limited spaces on like the tier 1 broadcast that we're talking about. There's a lot of people fighting for these spots, so it is not the easiest industry to break into. But some words of wisdom, Pavlos, potentially coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up on what you were saying. Right, getting a breakthrough isn't easy. I feel the issue with this industry or the the work we currently have is that even if you have a breakthrough, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll keep going in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right, as quickly as you might gain a breakthrough, the quickly as quickly as that, the rug might be, you know, taken out of your feet. Right, you'll quickly just like cease to exist at some point. Right, because it it's natural you'll be under a freelance position, right? When you're working under a broadcaster or most positions really in esports, I think, especially when starting out. And as natural in a freelance job, there's a lot of insecurity in income and in contracts and in work in general, and like when that's all going to be coming. But I think it's especially difficult in esports given the current environment of it, where there's less interest to invest in the scene, less interest to take risks. Right? It feels like COVID probably made this happen a little bit sooner than anybody really expected it to happen. But I think it was a sort of inevitable that there was a lot of stupid spending, a lot of irresponsible org owners, and a lot of irresponsible sponsors just jumping in too quickly without thinking about investment on return. And I think it all caused a cascade effect where we're now in a situation of uncertainty and insecurity all across the board. I feel like, as you guys mentioned, this is esports winter, and after winter there is spring. Like there is going to be a bounce back. A lot of people were thinking about, is esports a bubble, and if it pops, will it get destroyed? A lot of people were thinking that esports winter was the bubble popping, but I don't think that's the case. I think that's just, we just need to rebound with better organizations running the scene, more responsible spending, and all that kind of stuff.
But also, like, as much as you're talking about potentially like orgs within the scene, irresponsible spending, not willing to take risk, investing without really being aware, I think it's also really important to look at the wider economy in general. Tech specifically, like I used to be a technology consultant, and I worked on redesigning the back end of businesses. My job was literally to look at a process that a company was running and tell them, oh, you're running this with 50 people? You can run it with 20. Here's how you're going to do it. And like, that is such a shit position to be, because when it was like the boom, it was like, oh, we can like rebuild this back end for you. It's going to be so efficient. But then it became, we can rebuild this back end for you and you're going to get rid of people and you're going to save money. So that's like it's rough, and it's just like the esports industry currently like not being so up in arms and having so many opportunities is also obviously as a result of the wider economy. So it does suck, but again, there will always be a bounce back. The economic downturns are, I mean, it's an economy, it's a cycle. There's a bullish market. There is, you just gotta wait it through, and
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's the kind of thing as well, and you'll see that within esports broadcast as well, that things will just continually shrink until a point where it gets to where this is another topic to probably speak about, where it should have been, because there was a lot of like inflation through things like COVID, for example, where everyone was like, oh, we can keep running our events online, which did also in turn save money. People are still going to tune into it. More people are actually invested in it. And then it can start to sort of consistently grow at a more sustainable rate. That's going to happen with like broadcast teams and stuff as well. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a tough one.
If we could throw up the Monte Cristo tweet, I think we're living in the past a bit. I think this was about a month ago since Monte Cristo made this tweet.
I'm not gonna lie. When I tell you that this Monte Cristo tweet literally made me go into a fucking existential crisis for like a month. Like, since this tweet had, like, until now, I am still in this existential crisis that this fucker has caused. Because even though I've had a really, really great time in terms of my career growing and blowing up in like the last 2 years, I can 100,000,000% relate to this tweet. And I do think he is right to an extent. Are there things that you can do as talent to mitigate it? Yes, but there isn't going to be that much that you can do, because at the end of the day, your bulk of your income will come from you being a caster, and the bulk of your income will come from you being on-air talent. You can't just like wake up overnight and do something else.
Yeah. I was just, it's quite funny how we sort of had like the list of topics that we wanted to talk about, but I also simultaneously feel, no, and this is the crazy thing as well, because I'm thinking about some of the things we were talking about earlier, introducing ourselves as well, and sort of who we are as people, but it all kind of floods back, right? You know, all roads lead to Rome, or however you say it, right? This is something that we want to talk about, and like in terms of autonomy, it's why we do things like this, you know, like why we're here right now, because you don't have ownership of what you build, really. Like, you know, you are the soundtrack to a league, perhaps, or a co-streamer, as it says here. Actually, I wasn't even looking at the statement, but like that is the reality of it, right? You know, people will get used to your voice, but actually for a casual viewer, and for me sometimes, when I would look back at like old Counter-Strike clips and be like, oh, I remember this clip, I remember this caster who was doing it, but you never knew them by face necessarily, which is also something else to speak about in esports, and I'll get to that in a minute. Maybe you just knew them for that moment, and then it's like, okay, they've gone, but there's always someone else to do the same job later on, and someone else will come in and become that sort of iconoclasmic like figure of what it ends up being. And to then go back and make the point that I was lining up is that esports is kind of crazy from a talent perspective as well, in contrast to traditional sports, because you have these super iconic commentators who work it for, you know, decades, but how many times can you say that you've seen Martin Tyler, or, you know, seen Sam Matterfeld, or, you know, any of those guys, right? You don't. Whereas in esports, you're front and center, you're part of the product, you've got to be like this content creator that is, you know, interacting with the scene and putting out all of this kind of stuff, right? It feels like a necessity at this point, and I can see, Pavlos, you're sort of tilting your head in acknowledgement of that, or at least having a little bit
there's a lot to unwrap, I think, in this topic, because you either take there's a lot of routes to take, right? Because one of them is definitely the rise of co-streams as well, right? A lot of people want to follow their favorite people, which they in turn follow the leagues, right? I think it's some sort of passive viewing that has been popularized, and it's quite interesting because I think it's also a generational thing. I think more people find it more relaxing having someone break things down with them. I don't know, it might be also like you feel like you're in company at the same time while watching something online, for example. If you were in a stadium, like, you wouldn't want someone like talking in your ear, being annoying and frustrating, and like talking to you about things. But it's like you're living it with someone. You're living that esports moment. You're living the game with someone. So if something happens, there's someone else reacting to it, and you get validation because you probably react in the same way, or you gain a laugh by it. And whether that's by interacting with the chat or with the streamer himself, I feel that's something that is valued a lot right now. That being said, I would never say that the job of a caster will never just whittle down to being the voice behind being the soundtrack of a co-streamer, right? I
do think that's
I feel like it's what it turned into, but I think even though I feel like Monte Cristo made this tweet, and that final line was a very good way of like making a punch and making the tweet more noticeable. But I don't even think he himself believes that this is what a caster's job will turn into, because I feel it's a lot more valuable than that.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I understand sort of the argument. I think the point that's trying to be made with becoming the soundtrack of a co-streamer is just to sort of like illustrate the reality of what the situation is, not like the base product taken from like the viewer perspective, right? So it's like your voice is going to end up on the co-stream and that person will make more money than you. It's not that your purpose will, but that's what the purpose will become, right? And I think it's also interesting when you reflect it back to Valorant as well. Something that we saw a lot, especially in the early life cycle of the game, is like Taric and Shroud and that having more viewers than the actual main broadcast,
still the case,
which is kind of insane. And it's like, how do you approach that from the Riot perspective? Because you want to allow co-streams, right? You know, it's going to help grow the esport, I think. But at the same time, do you want to overshadow this product that you're putting so much money and effort into? I don't know.
I mean, you're talking about like people like Tarek particularly having more viewers than the main broadcast. I mean, that is not something in the past. That is still the thing. The most recent competition being Game Changers Championship, like when you were looking at Tarek, he was the one with the most viewers. And that speaks a lot in terms of like where co-streaming is going. And like, listen, more power to him. He found a niche and it's really paid off and it's doing really, really well for his channel. It's allowed him to grow in an extremely and an insanely great way. So, and he's even, you know, doing his own tournament with Ludwig, which is also really cool to see. But I do agree with Monte Cristo in this sense where, yes, as a caster, you will just be the backtrack sound of a co-stream. I'm not saying that's the only thing that you will be, because you will also have the main broadcast that you're working on. But when people with co-streaming rights are watching you, they're not going to be watching at full volume. They're not going to be listening to you. You're going to be a little lower, maybe a little bit different so for casters particularly because you're in the game, so they kind of want to hear you. But I know that when that analyst desk comes on, it's press mute and go play another game, okay?
Yeah.
Like, as a host who is like only on the analyst desk, like you're muted. Like nobody gives a shit. I'm not saying nobody gives a shit. Of course, people still watch it and people still tune in, but like it's not. It is like the reality of this tweet is that the reason why it kind of like got me into an existential crisis is because I do agree, and I'm not just looking at the top one. I'm also looking at the tweet that he put. You have zero leverage over negotiations, and that's why people start socials, something that you touched upon, Haza, in terms of like, you don't see these traditional sportcasters being really active online and streaming and doing this and doing that. But as an esports talent, you have to, because at the end of the day, your follower count unfortunately does matter. And I'm not mad about that because I personally really like social media. I like posting on it. I like building my brand off of it, and it has given me a lot of success. But I also know that there are a lot of my colleagues in this space who don't really have that same sentiment and that same approach to social media. They don't like it as much. They don't find it interesting. They don't want to do that. They just want to show up, cast the game, give it their all, give it the passion, give it the energy, and that shouldn't make them any less favorable or hireable. Yeah. But unfortunately, in some instances, like, it actually does.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think I fall under the category of like not enjoying social media as much. I find it a chore. It's something that I was always trying to stray away from even before I got into esports. It's like, I feel like this takes up a lot of my time. I feel like there's a lot of not as useful information, etc. I'd indulge, obviously, but also I didn't want to share every part of my life. And I feel like I don't necessarily have to now. But there are moments where I'm like, okay, how do I build my brand? And one of the things I look at, okay, what is my brand? What do I do? What do I want to be known as? And I think of moments that I could share within my life that could help me make some more posts, right? One of them, for example, this could be super basic. I don't want to be a gym bro, but I was like, okay, I work out quite a bit lately, right? So why not once a blue moon, I post out, look, I'm in, like, for an Instagram story, for example, look, I'm in the gym. I find that super awkward. I find that super awkward. I tried taking a picture a couple of days ago, and I'm like, yeah, no, like, there's people around me. I don't want to, like, this is not me. Like, so I find that very difficult, actually.
Your Instagram stories are so boomer. Like,
right? I feel like such a boomer when it comes to social.
I am so sorry, but the way that you use social media, you're like a 40-year-old dad with 2 children, you know, living in the suburbs,
23 by the way,
working his 9 to 5. Like, you post like such a fucking boomer, and I totally understand like not wanting to post stuff because other people are in it. I agree 100%. Like, I literally, when I'm vlogging, I go to the corner of the street and I vlog my part because I am so embarrassed. But like, you don't necessarily have to post something that has your face in it. Just don't post a song. Don't post a song over your story.
Dude, it's so
really.
I've got to.
Is that a thing?
This as well.
Is that a thing? Don't put music over your story.
It's just something that Pavlos does a lot. He always puts like the League of Legends music or like the Valorant music on his stories. And to be honest, I think it's the kind of thing where if I was also doing VCT gigs, then maybe I'd put like a little champ song on there or something. But it is quite funny. And I'll tell you what as well. The thing that instantly popped into my head when you mentioned that, Ginny, I remember. No, it's okay. When we did Spike Nations together, I can remember we were in the green room, and Pavlos sent me a meme, and it was like some, I don't know, 3-year-old, 2-year-old like Instagram reel kind of thing that your mum sends you.
Oh
my god! Level of me, like, you know, the ones where it's got like the white border at the top with the laughing, crying emojis, like that kind of.
He sends you that shit. You're like the uncle. You're like the uncle.
So we love him
my
for
cheeks, bro.
Yeah. But like, to go back to the whole content thing, it's like, you know, when you're like, it feels like as a you sort of, you get chained into being a content creator, because I'm going to scroll back and see if I can find it. This is something I spoke to Cairo about before as well. Like, Cairo, maybe one of the reasons why he sort of didn't get as many gigs as I did at certain points was because, like, he just never had, or he told me, like, I don't personally enjoy making content. Whereas me, I've been, well, it's 2024 now, so I've been making YouTube videos on and off for about 12 years. Like, born and bred shitposter.
Are you even that old?
You know
like,
what I mean? No, dude, since I was 11 or 12 years old, I've genuinely just been pumping it out. So, like, you know, content, that is. Yeah, I found the shot. I found the shot. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
It was,
even when you check on Pavlos's Twitter, okay, like, even his Twitter, it's like cute, so wholesome. It is. Hello, it's like.
And the moment I'll try to be a little bit more funky, a little bit more, you know, to my generation and stuff, it just goes wrong because it's so ungenuine. Like, I can't. It's like when I say something even basic like this slaps, it's like, that's not Pavlos. That's not Pavlos speaking. That's not his language,
something else
right?
as well, though. It's like, with me, I feel like if I don't tweet, also as a broadcast talent, I don't fucking exist. Like, you know, you feel like you have to do it, but then it's like, you know, I like making funny content and stuff, but then you're also walking the line with, do I want to be regarded as a professional within my field? Do I, like, you know, I'm in my my sophomore year of like casting now. I feel like I want to be, you know, taken seriously for stuff I do and not just being a shit poster, you know?
Listen,
like, how can you get the blend of both? It doesn't work.
I mean, it's esports as well. You don't take it seriously, I guess.
I don't know if any siege talent or siege people are watching this, but you will never have the Des with the PS4 incident.
What?
I think I've heard of this. I've not seen it. I've heard of it.
It's scrubbed off. It's scrubbed off the internet for a reason. That shit was wild. Okay, so like,
glad I'm not the only one that's distasteful.
and it's like I get posting on the internet, but please check before you post.
All right.
Is that the PlayStation, the Venom tweet, or a different one?
my sweet, sweet summer child. I'll get into it at some point. But
All right.
Okay.
I think as well, like socials though, like they are becoming increasingly important. But again, going back kind of to like the Monte Cristo tweet is when you have to a certain extent a certain following on social media, a certain presence, a certain identity, it also helps you in terms of like gigs. Like for example, one of my very last gigs that I've done, they literally told me, "Oh, we want to hire you for this role because you're funny, because you do memes." And I'm like, I do memes. I am a meme, so you know it helps.
Walking, breathing meme.
I'm literally
I called it a
walking,
meme
breathing,
just now. Nice.
and then a Twitch
And
chat. So yeah, I mean, it's to an extent like you're establishing a brand for yourself, and that is you are the funny caster that is down with the kids, as the older people would say it, because at the end of the day, when you're looking at the generation that is watching like esports, they're probably our age. So who better to relate to them than fucking chronically online Zoomers that don't post music on their Instagram story.
It's the next generation. Yeah, this one.
Oh my god, he
this
found
one.
it.
Treat yourself to 19 inches of Venom and
What?
more with the
Oh my
Marvel
God.
Spider-Man 2 Collector's Edition.
Oh my god.
This was
19?
the
How much is that in centimeters?
Can we get
How
the
much?
can we Harry, while we're at it, let's get the Microsoft Edge one up as well. The deleted
19
Microsoft
inches
Edge.
in cent. 19 inches in cent. That is 48 centimeters. What the?
That's unbelievable.
That's
Numbers
like
of
my
which the
fucking
like we've
forearm,
never
bro.
heard before.
Jesus Christ.
I've completely forgot where we were now. I've just had my shit rocked by the 19
okay,
inches of
it's
Venom.
almost the end
wait.
of the year, and we want to see how you hashtag Edge. No,
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
no, but guys,
This is
literally,
so good.
do you understand that there is literally a team behind these social media accounts that went, "Oh, this is the proposal that you're, yeah, good, you can tweet it."
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying never put me in charge of any socials.
This has tipped us over the edge. What were we even talking about before? It was
Anyway,
about
we were
socials,
talking
right?
about
Because
We're
I
what
talking
had
we should
something
be
I wanted to
doing
load up.
to
It
keep
was about the
ourselves relevant.
memes.
Oh,
It was
memes.
about
Yeah,
the
how-
memes.
Okay, this
what
is how
Ginny
you
was
make
saying.
yourself relevant. Okay, this is how you make yourself. Okay, grab a pen and paper.
Oh yeah, I remember now. It was it was about it was tying 2 points together. Shout out to Soul Chains, you know, talking about my interviews. That was like legit the reason why I got Polaris, I think, because I was making content on the side as well, and like in a space which was maybe not getting as much content produced. Like that's just a big checkbox ding, and then you're in, right? You know.
But
Stuff
also
like that.
because a lot of people that were working Polaris were continuously bringing up your name and saying that you should be one of the people in the broadcast. So yes, that also helped. But I think furthermore, that ties into what you can do to actually set yourself up for success. And that is be a nice person. Don't be a fucking dick. Just be nice. Because Haza was nice to me when we worked an event together. And I remember that so clearly because Haza was working with a caster that was like,
Oh, was this the basement as well? Was also this also in the basement?
this was in the basement. And like the caster that we were working with was like,
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it.
it was such
It was
a horrible
just like halfway through a tech rehearsal or whatever, they were suddenly like cut guys. I
a
think
tech
that we should
rehearsal.
actually move the camera here because this should be done this way instead. It was
that was
really
the
random, and to
start
be
of
honest,
it.
like that was my first in-person gig, I believe. So I
Same
didn't
for
really
me.
care. I was like kind of just chilling, like, yo, we'll do whatever, man. Like I'm having a good time. I'm the kid in the candy store. Give me the microphone. Let me shout a little bit. I have no idea what I'm saying. Just let me cook, right? But yeah, I mean, this actually ties us quite nicely into the next segment, I think, because it sort of leans into what my tip was and a conversation that I also remember having with you, Ginny, quite vividly at the time.
All right.
Remember?
How about we
Oh, yeah,
roll
because
up
I
Haz's
was-
video?
Wait,
and-
because
yeah, go
I
ahead.
was the host in that, and I remember after we've done like the rehearsals, I go up to Haza and I'm like, "Do you want me to like interfere here because you're getting like 3 seconds of airtime per 3 minutes? Like, do you want?" And I do that quite a lot. Well, not a lot. I do that in the few instances where I've had one person like completely overshadow the other person, and I think the way that you handled it was very mature. You were like, it's okay, like I'll roll with the punches. Although I don't think that should have been the approach. I think I should have just told him to like shut the fuck up. But also that was my first in-person gig. I didn't know better.
Aggressive.
I do now. I do now.
You've got to be a nice person, Ginny.
You got to be a nice person, but please don't step on my toes. No, but I think as well, like, no, absolutely, you have to be a nice person.
Yeah,
There's also like a certain boundary where it's like at that point you need to stand up for yourself. And I felt so fucking guilty because like I was the host and like on the desk particularly, I would direct my question to Hazza directly every single time. To try and get Hazza the airtime because I couldn't do that during the cast, obviously, because I wasn't there. But like, it was a really rough experience, and I think the way Hazza handled it, and Hazza still being really happy and really content with how everything went, and just being such a kind person, was like, okay, yeah, this person deserves to work
Thank you.
other gigs. So
yeah, to be honest, mate, I just didn't know what was going on, so that's probably why. I think I was just sort of like doing my thing. I was like, wait, is this guy talking more than me? I was just sort of like saying what I had to say, right?
You revealed. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we move on then?
That's what I was
Shall
just about
we
to
move
say.
on?
So it was back to like the Polaris thing as well,
Yeah.
and me. I was in. It was when we were in Wrocław for Poland. I remember we were sat by the river. We were on the steps. I remember, and I remember talking to you like, "What is it that I need to do? What is it that I need to do to make the jump
no,
up?"
you're giving
right?
away the gold.
And,
You're giving away the gold.
and then there we go. We were into sort of like, what is it that that you can do to get on the broadcast? And you know, part of it was about sort of like having that niche, you know, and what it is we've learned. But now it is the tip segment.
Yeah.
All right.
That's literally. Did you recycle the tip that I gave you like 2 years ago?
No.
No?
Look, watch this.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
roll
Watch it,
VT.
let's watch
roll
it.
Just for
VT, roll
context,
VT,
just for
roll
context,
VT.
just for context. We all of us made a video. I don't know, just about a few weeks ago when we realized we're going to be making this podcast, and just to point out a few tips for people that want to get into broadcasting now. But yeah, that's the
Don't get into
that's the
broadcast,
context.
Play the clip.
Play the clip.
Play that shit.
Economy rounds and we win the bonus round as well. We just need to get ourselves off to a strong start and we won't have problems at all.
My
That's why I
first
subtitled it.
Just have fun. Have
Yeah,
fun.
so
Wow.
to be honest,
Wow.
the clip probably doesn't do it justice because if you want to get into esports, you probably don't want to be there while Pal is droning on. So.
I mean,
you
you
know,
started
it-
talking
it
Spanish
is
there
what
at
it
some
is.
point as well, mate.
You
Habla
can
español.
hear him, yeah, Spanish pal. But yeah, essentially the point that I was trying to make there, which sort of was a bit heat of the moment because I just wanted to get the clip done, right? It's more like, you know, try and let your personality shine through in a way that isn't necessarily forced. Like, enjoy what it is you're doing, have fun with it, see how exactly it is that you can play around with different ideas. You know, I've tried crazy amounts of bantering on a broadcast before, but it's got to feel natural, right? You've got to have a blend of both. And again, like making content, stuff like that, it's all an asset to what it is that you're doing. And to go back to the point you were or sort of we were making, Ginny, about like what that niche is, it's just about you know me having my own personality and what that looks like in the broadcast. You know, it's like speaking to the players, having a sort of more personal relationship with the players, tying that information in, like just you know taking it at face value and having a good time, making sure that the people are entertained.
Honestly, I felt like such a fucking bitch when I told you that, because I remember I was like, fucking hell, because we started literally like around the same time and we did our first studio gig together, and then you were like asking me for something, and I think I remember like saying to you like, oh, you need to find a personality, like it's very bland at the moment, you're not standing out. And then I went back to the hotel and I was like, could I have worded that better? Could I have said it nicer? Because I felt like it's like you asked for it, so I know you were ready to like get some harsh feedback, and I'm glad it's like it landed really well. But I felt so mean. Like I just want to say sorry.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I don't think that it necessarily felt harsh to sort of come back to what you're saying. And it wasn't even like a self-realization, like, wow, I'm not really coming through as I would have hoped. But I think like that's the other side of the coin, right? You can have loads of personality. You don't want to force it, but at the same time, you don't want to just be the monotone, I'm leaning entirely into the game. I'm not speaking about anything except for the game, exactly what is happening on screen. I can't, you know, build anything around it. I'm not thinking about any of that stuff. It's just like repeat, because it gets really boring. And I remember like having conversations with you before, and you'll be like, oh, Hazza, you know, some of the work you've been doing since Poland has been really good. And I remember looking back at Poland, like, yeah, if I could do that now, I think it would be 10 times better than what it was, because it did feel very like formulaic and basic. And like, I'll keep it 100 with you. I don't think until like halfway through last year, I've got to a point where I've actually felt comfortable with where I am as a commentator and being like, yeah, what I'm putting out is something that I would genuinely listen to myself.
Okay. That leads us really nicely. Well, we love a self-aware king. I'm glad that my brutal advice has kind of like helped a little along the way. We're now gonna go into Pavlos' advice. Let's get it. Let's hear it.
I'm anxious.
This is a bit of a difficult subject because I'm not quite sure what the best tip is to give to anyone, because clearly there is not one journey to reach your goals.
Oh, shut the fuck
But
up.
I'm here because I have a lot of hopium.
There was background noise, that's why.
While hopium doesn't always work out the way you want it, if you keep on working towards something, you'll eventually hit something. If I was to end my career here one day, I'd be happy with what I've done so far. The people I've met, the places I've been, I think it's a matter of knowing why, keeping track of knowing why you're doing this, right? Is it for yourself? Is it for the experiences? Is it because of esports and fans? You've got to figure that out first before anything else. You've got to figure out why you're doing this for.
Oh my God.
Wow.
If I could give myself a tip 5 years ago,
It goes on, there's more.
I would have said,
Let him cook, let him cook. Let him cook, let him cook. Yalla!
keep
Just keeping it
closest to the
real.
people that make you feel empowered, that make you feel happy, and support you even when you're not at your best. I think having a support network, people around you that have got similar goals as you, is probably the best thing you could do. And I think that's advice for anything really, not just esports. So yeah, if that's it, if I could give one tip, I guess it's surround yourself with people that make you feel good, and that when you're near them, you look at them and you're like, that's a good fucking human being.
Aww.
Damn.
Man, can we not play mine? Because
I got two things to say about that.
Can I first just provide some context?
Of course.
So prior to pressing play, I had no idea what I was going to say. You could probably tell because I was just building it up, kind of trying to figure out
What's blood waffling about?
And then at some point I was like, wait, actually think about this. And yeah, that came out. Yeah, the music was because there was background noise again, and I wasn't going to play like some Mimi song behind it, so I just slapped that on.
Okay, I mean, listen, I think in general, like having good people behind you and like a support network, especially in a freelance gig where it's like you don't even know if you're going to be working tomorrow or not, I think absolutely that makes a world of difference. I think you and me can very much relate to that. I think I can personally relate to that with you. You're definitely the person who I go to and like cry about the fact that I don't know what I'm going to be doing with my life. I don't know if I'm going to be working next week, especially this off season. You've been a rock, and it's really, really helped me through a lot of difficulty. So I do agree, having a good support system around you is really important. Damn, if that was a YouTube video, I would have skipped it.
Lamar, yeah, probably true. Thank God this is a podcast. Just to provide a little bit more to that. Sorry, Hazza.
That's fine.
In esports, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? There's a lot of moments that you'll get slapped. There'll be a curveball that you've never expected, even if you had eyes behind you. There are things that will come at any point in time that you're not ready for. And like I said, it's general life advice. Like if you don't have someone that can support you, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be strong yourself and be confident in what you want to do, but I think the two part of keeping in mind why are you doing it will give you motivation to keep on going, because at some point you will fall down. Like that's natural. You will fuck up. You will have a bad day. You will think that this might be all over and be considered a quit. Because I believe all three of us. I don't believe anyone in this industry hasn't had a day that was like, I'm going to give up. Like, that's it. But remembers why they do it, or has a discussion with someone, and because that someone talked them into keeping going, or they themselves remembered, right, no, I want to do it because of this. What marked that failure won't define the rest of my career, type thing.
Yeah, I think firstly, before I get into the two things I was going to say, I fully agree with everything you said there. I think that personally resonates with me and quite a few of the people that I've met through esports, both you two and then with Cairo as well. To be honest, I don't think we would have made it as far as we have, and I don't think we have the potential to make it, any further if we weren't mates first and then like a casting pair second, because that is a friendship which bloomed out of us working together in the first place. We just started chatting shit with one another, and like, this is where we are now. Yeah, we have our disagreements here and there, but that also comes from like just being mates in the first place, you know what I mean? Because I have an immense amount of respect for him as a person. And the people that you meet, the places you go with esports are like one of my favorite things about it. And I think I put that self-reflectively in a tweet somewhere that I posted along the line, sort of like a 2023 roundup or whatever, and it was just like, I've made all the goals that I wanted to so far. Anywhere I go here is a bonus, and like it is, like I can feel happy at this point, at least with what I've achieved. But like, obviously, there's the hunger to achieve more. Then on the two things I wanted to say was, one, you can clearly tell that this is still Pavlos that was in the mindset of making that, like, was it the 4 esports video that you did? Very poetic, very, very good. And the second part was that with that music in the background, it did sound like you were going to sell me life insurance. Like, I wasn't sure what exactly was going on.
It was inspirational, to say the least.
You've come this far, and it's the people you meet. Do you want to make sure that they're feeling comfortable once you're gone?
Oh my God.
Call this number today and make sure.
Because when you work esports, you got to be on a lot of flights. Might crash. Okay, let's not.
Bro, I'm as red as the sheet behind me right now. This is crazy.
No, it was good though. It was really good. It put mine to shame, that's for sure. We'll have to see what Jenny's like.
Well, so far we have had 2 tips. One is have fun by Hazza. The second one is keep a good support system, good network around you. Let's head into the third tip from Jeannie. Hi, initialize. It's upside down.
It's upside down.
Anyway, as you can see, I've recorded this today because I got to do my homework. So if everybody can just like turn upside down and just like pretend.
Hey, it's fixed.
Shout out to Harry. Also, shout out. Thank you so much, Initialize, for the raid. We really do appreciate it. I hope you had a lovely stream. So I forgot to do my homework, but I did put a tip together. So let's play it.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm recording this from my apartment in Berlin, which I have just moved to in pursuit of my esports career. Probably seen the announcement yesterday. I'm now a member of the LEC talent team for winter 2024. And if there is one piece of advice that I would give myself or anyone that is watching today, it's that you never stop the outreach. Always send a message, always send a DM, and always be kind about it. Thanks.
See, mine was like 30 seconds, and I feel like this was like the best tip we've gotten so far. I'm joking. But yeah, so, not to toot my own horn, but I would say 90% of the work that I have is because I did outreach, and it's because I messaged someone and said, hi, I saw that you announced this event. Do you have talents for it? Yes or no? And most of the time, the person who made that post or the Twitter account that made a post doesn't know, but then they'd be like, I don't know, but here is the person you need to contact. You contact them, and then most likely or not, they're looking at talents, considering talent, and you just like throw your name in the talent pool, which then makes you more likely, I would say, to get hired. Like, I will be completely honest, the League of its Own, which was like my biggest event of my entire career, I messaged them and I was like, hello, I am Ginero. I want to work for you. And I ended up working the event. So take it from me. If you want to see Faker, you got it. I literally breathe the same air as Faker. Do the outreach, send a message, get it going. Make sure that you just put your name out there, because at the end of the day, that is really, really insightful. And if anything, that kind of leads me into my next point, being that League of Its Own was definitely my favorite off-season event. Getting to work an event with like a sold out crowd where people are literally screaming at the top of their lungs, having that opportunity to do interviews, which then caused people to scream even more. The energy, the vibes, the players, the audience, the talent. I think it was magical was an understatement. I remember so vividly, like before the event even started, it was like 11 and first game was at 1 p.m. I was walking through, it was already completely, I was walking through the venue, it was already completely full, and no one is speaking to me, no one is like saying anything, but I'm walking through the venue and I'm just getting goosebumps. Because you know that come 2 hours, you're going to be in the middle of those 7,000 people IRL that are screaming, the KC Blue Wall fans, the NI, the German organization, the T1 fans, the G2 fans. You know, it's gonna be crazy. So yeah, that was my favorite off-season event of 2023, and we're getting it again in Paris. So tune in.
I was gonna say you segued that one brilliantly. We're straight into the next bit. And you did also say that you breathe the same air as Faker, Pixel Fake. Where's the Faker photo?
Where's
Jenny?
the picture?
No, please, because okay, so this is actually makes me so upset. I got held up when walking from the talent area to the green room, and because I got held up by people who wanted to take a picture, which I didn't expect. Thanks guys, I really appreciate it. I missed out on my chance to take a picture with Faker. The team manager told me to wait. The team manager, not the actual T1 manager, but like the Red Bull person that was in charge of managing T1, told me to wait. They're like, you can do it after they have done the press conference. So I waited for like 30 minutes, and then after the press conference, they told me, no, JK, psych, go away.
Faker
like,
be faking. Right. Unlucky.
Next time.
Yeah.
Kerry, it was so cute though. Anyway, what was your
Banger.
favorite event? What was your favorite event, Hazza?
For me, it's got to be an obvious choice, right? I got to go straight in with Spike Nations. It's just the fact that I got to travel to go somewhere else. Like, in terms of actual off-season events, I did quite a few. I was quite lucky to do some Game Changers stuff as well, which was really nice because I feel like those were the only events I'd done for Game Changers like this year. With how the circuit is operating, pretty jam-packed. There's lots going on, and it, like, if you're not doing the VCT edition of it, you're not doing it at all, basically. Which is a positive, I think. And yeah, we got the Spike Nations one here. I have to say, it was sick to be there with Cairo, and like the venue was awesome. There are a couple of things that could have made it like unbelievably sick. Like, firstly, because it's a Spanish event, and this is something I came to realize, like, everything there is in Spanish because it's such a widely spoken language, you know, both in Europe, Latin America as well. It means that like they are the priority, even if it is an international tournament that you're hosting. So it was fucking mental, by the way. Like, the arena was just the Mixwell co-stream. Like, it's Mixwell sat in the booth, and then they were also doing this thing as well, and this is why I need to get my vlog finished, because the guy's like flying this camera around to like random people in the venue and putting music on them and just making them stand up and start dancing. And there's this guy like twerking. They gave him 2 tickets to Masters Madrid. And after those getting released, I think he'll be quite happy that they were free. But yeah, like it was pretty mental, right? Like it was a good time. I think if my caster audio was going out to the arena, if you could really be there and feel that energy, it would have been sick. And like, I don't think I got as many maps with Cairo in as I would have wanted as well. Like, it was a balance of remote, which was slightly interesting, but like, we won't get into it. But just being him with there and people like Billy and Pal as well, and just having another LAN to go off in an otherwise quiet part of the year, I felt especially lucky to be involved with it all. And just even seeing some of the people from Challengers like Lime and Lewis and Link and that again was a really nice little rendezvous.
Right. Carlos, your turn before we close it out.
For me, even though there's a close second, number one has to be Convergence in India. I think that event.
You can only
slapped.
pick one. You can only.
Yeah,
pick
that's
one.
why I'm saying one. That's why I'm saying one. I'm not going to ramble into a second one. I promise. Yeah, that's got to be it. I think the event last year in India, the GXR one, I think it left the sour taste in everybody's mouths for multiple reasons, but Convergence managed to beat that by a landslide. Where do I start? The fans, absolutely insane. I don't think anybody expected how many people were going to be there, the love that they showed to international teams, because up until that point, I think there was an impression that the Indian scene only would support local teams.
Yeah.
And local talent and stuff like that, and they wouldn't really dive into supporting other teams. But for example, the FUT versus Vitality final, Oh, there were clips of the audience going absolutely berserk. CNED's name was shouted out more times than I can remember. It was truly incredible. The people there, the fans there, the food's good. Food in India is amazing. Yeah, I think it's an unforgettable event, and yeah, convention actually is going to be happening next year as well. So looking forward to that.
Yo, more leaks. Well, I think that kind of like puts us in a lovely position in terms of what we've done this year, in terms of tips, in terms of what we're going to be covering. Just a little reminder, this is going to be a podcast that is happening every single week. So make sure that you follow us on the socials so that you know when we're going to be going live. Haza, for this year, if you can, in very brief, like one sentence, give us your hopes for 2024. One goal, one New Year's resolution. What would it be?
I said this to you guys a little bit before we went on, but just back to a studio, man. Just send me to a studio. Give me a date. Let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. We'll leave it at that. And a demo viewer, please.
I think mine is pretty similar. It's not really a goal, but it's what I like to happen at some point. Yeah, cast the big final. That'd be nice.
All right. Well, for me, that's rough, man. Because I don't want to set a goal in terms of like I want to do this. That's not fully reliant on what I can do, but I do want to cover an international league event. I think. I mean, whatever that might be, whether that's a league of its own or whether it's MSI or Worlds. You know, it's in London. London gal, I don't know, but you know, London town. It would be really cool, but like again, that's not something that I can control, so it's not really a realistic goal to set. But I do just hope that this year I have the same success as I had last year, and that I'm able to build my socials further. This obviously podcast being a part of it, so I want to thank you, every single person who has tuned in, for being part of today's episode. We're going to be back again next week, so make sure that you tune in for that. And as I said, follow our socials. The VOD's going to be put live as well. You guys can come back to it. We're going to start running our TikTok account as well, so you can tune in the best and most funny moments of today, specifically where we're roasting Pablos and his socials. We're going to see you guys next week. Please make sure to take care of yourself. We'll be covering some really interesting topics, and take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
By the way. Oh man, I just wanna bow, boom, you know. Oh, don't you fucking bait that I'm a caster in chat either. You're giving them ammunition.
Reach flush, eh?
Oh, I can't be. Bye.
I'm really happy that you guys couldn't hear that. I am so happy that you guys can hear that. Bro. I lost 20 LP for that. I lost 20. I lost. Your mom, Jabata, your mom.